Thank you so much, Apelele. It's Madi TP here, and I'm so happy to see a lot of you here on the webinar today. I'm excited. It looks like we are looking forward to our webinar. Colleagues, it's a great pleasure for me to have Dr. Nikki Wemomoti today on this platform so that Doctor can share the knowledge and skills she got with us, and then we can also learn from her. Let me start by introducing firstly the doctor to you, and you are all welcome, my colleagues. You are all welcome. Relax and just enjoy this webinar. Dr. Momoti obtained her PhD, University of Western Cape, specializing in records and archives management. She's a lecturer at the University of the Western Cape, Department of Library and Information Science. In addition to the lecturing, she supervises master's and doctoral students. This is is a peer reviewer of library science, archive, records, and information management journals. She has published in accredited peer-reviewed journal and presented papers at professional conferences. Dr. Momoti began her career in academic sector as special collection and archivist librarian. She has held several senior management positions in the public sector, managing ICT, knowledge and information management, records, archives, and libraries. She is a member of South African Society of Archives, Knowledge Management of South Africa, and institutional member of LIASA. Dr. Momoti served on the Western Cape Archive Advisory Councils. She has served as chairperson and deputy chairperson, South African Society of Archivists, National Executive Committee member, and still serves on the National Executive Committee. Wow. Chairperson, Intervocational Association of Information Specialists and Library Practitioners, LISLIG. I still remember that, LISLIG, that's where we come from, colleagues. Standing committee members, International Federation of Library Association, Local History and Genealogy Committee, and also on Open Access Expert Coalition as professional interests of Dr. Momoti, enterprise content management, implementation, information management, especially the use of records for decision-making for service delivery improvement. This is very exciting bio of Dr. Nikki Wemomoti. Dr. Nikki Wemomoti, you are welcome to this webinar. And now the stage is yours. Let's hear what you have for us. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, good morning to everyone who is in the call.
Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone. The names are so familiar, and I'm so happy to see you or hear you again. Unfortunately, can you switch on your cameras for just a while so that I can see the faces?
Let's switch so that doctor can remember us.
Yes. Yeah, I remember Edna. I remember her. Yes. No, thank you so much, colleagues, and thank you, Chairperson, for inviting me to present to you today. And I think, as you have said, the delegates must really enjoy the seminar or the webinar. It's going to be very interactive, even though it's not a workshop, but I always want to, to have that interactive a presentation or an interactive session with whoever is listening, so that we can then, when we leave the seminar, we all understand what was happening, or if we don't understand, but at least we should have had an opportunity to interact with each other instead of just keeping quiet. And Madisipi, I must say that even though I'm going to present slides, I will make a full paper available to you, to everyone who has attended. So I will forward it to you maybe tomorrow, so that you can then forward it to everyone, because I always feel that presentations are sort of quite short. You know, sometimes people don't understand the presentations, even though there may be a recording, but it's nice to always refer to something that is actually there. So I will formalize the presentation through your chair. Is that fine?
Thank you so much, Dr. Momoti. Thank you. We really appreciate that. But colleagues, they have forgotten you, and then we haven't seen your face. Can you kindly show your face so that they can remember you too?
Oh no, I thought I had switched it on. I think it's on. What is going on? It's actually, and I'm busy talking, and I thought that maybe there is. Okay, let me just try and do something. How can I switch it on? Can you please just give me a moment?
Most welcome, Doctor.
It's actually on. I'll just call just next door. I'll call our technician just to assist me.
Okay, colleagues, I will, after Dr. Nokiwe have shared the paper with me, I will send the paper to Liasa office, and Liasa will share the paper with all of us, because some of you, I don't have your email address. So I'll ask Apelele to share the paper with you all. Thank you so much. Wow, that's the doctor we know. Wow.
Yeah, we were struggling here with the technician, but fortunately we got it right. Good morning to everyone.
Good
Okay,
morning,
so
Doctor.
as I was saying that I will make the the presentation into a paper so that you can always refer to it. So I will start as you have heard, I have worked a lot in libraries, and in fact in information management, and it is really something that is very close to my heart. But then I decided to get into academia after some time so that we can then teach the younger generation what we have done. So my approach really, even in teaching, is quite pragmatic. Pragmatism meaning that it's practical. I would like to apply what works. If it doesn't work, why should we continue doing things that don't work? So that it is really my take, even with this presentation today. That is why I said the presentation would be special collections back to basics. So before I can start, I will then just require you for about 5 minutes, because I think we've got quite a lot of time, 5 minutes, where you can then just type on the chat what you do expect from this presentation, what made you to be interested to come and listen to this webinar or be part of this webinar, and what are your expectations? Okay, it's quite interesting. Your contributions are quite interesting, and I hope by the end of this presentation, you will definitely your expectations will be met, or maybe you would have a change of heart, because the presentation really is about going back to basics. Even though we are faced with so many changes, but we need to stand our ground, as in our profession, in our various professions, that this is what the profession stands for, and this is what we are supposed to do. But as we go along, we will then learn more. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contributions. I will close the chat because I think it will be a bit. Okay, so I will then start with the presentation. So most of you really want to know more. Some of you are still new in the profession, and they would like to know more of special libraries, about special libraries. So we will then start with the presentation. And I will stop at some point, and so that you can ask questions instead of waiting for the end of the presentation. So we will engage each other as and when we start. And I think if people are interested to ask a question, if I have not yet stopped, I think one can raise a hand, and then we can be able to discuss whatever it is that needs to be discussed. I will then share my screen, and Chairperson, can you all see the screen?
Yes, we can, Doctor. We can.
Okay. All right. So our presentation is Special Libraries, Back to Basics. So part of the presentation really we will discuss special libraries, what they are and what makes them special. I think Edna's expectation will be met there, where we will discuss what makes special libraries special, apart from the other libraries. And also we will then learn about what the expectations of our organizations are, as we are special libraries within organizations. What are the expectations of the organizations? And then we will, of course, discuss whether the libraries are biased, so that we can know whether we are going into the right direction or not. Then we will understand that. But of course, within all of these headings, we will have very robust discussions. So when we talk about special libraries, what do special libraries refer to? We are going to learn about that, and what makes a library special, because as I have mentioned, special libraries are special. There is really a reason why they were called special libraries. So we will then learn why they are called special libraries. So what does a special library refer to? I must say that, as a researcher, I've gone through quite a lot of literature, special library literature, and I've found that the special library field is under-researched. And also the definition of a special library is, there are various definitions. There isn't a cut and dry definition of a special library. Even from when the special libraries were established in the 1800s, there wasn't really a definition of what the special library would be. So there are various definitions, and therefore there is really a lack of a common definition. But still we use the term special library. But of course there are also other sections of a library, such as special collections, which are considered to be special libraries. But as we go along, we will learn what makes a special library to be special. So from the literature that I have seen, there are various scholars who have tried to define what special libraries are. But from all of those, I tried to come up with one common definition. That is why I said that I would like to sort of have a paper which you can constantly refer to with all of this valuable information, such as a definition of a special library. So the definition of a special library is that, first of all, there must be an organization, a mother body that the library belongs to. I'll keep on referring to the library as you, because you are the ones who work in the special library. So the organization, there must be an organization that library belongs to, that is the mother body of that organization. For instance, there would be corporates or companies, law firms, hospitals, research institutions, accounting firms, government departments, etc. So that organization also has to have one or more a special subject interest, meaning that it shouldn't just be a general organization, but it must have specific subject interests. So it is important for us to understand from the very onset that a special library belongs to a special organization that focuses on a certain specialist subject area, one or more, just a few more of those. For instance, I'll make an example of the Industrial Development Corporation. I'm just coming up with that. I'm not really clued up whether they have a special library, but I think they have. The IDC, that is the mother body, which focuses on development, on providing funding for development. So that library must then belong to that particular organization, because that organization funds the library. Or else, for instance, the Department of Transport, if it's a government department, such as the Department of Transport, the library that is within the Department of Transport is a special library, and the Department of Transport definitely focuses on various modes of transport. So there is really a specialist subject area of that organization. So in the past, when special libraries were established, they were established by these small organizations, not big organizations like universities, because if it's in a university, the university definitely there will be an academic or university library. But there were smaller organizations such as law firms, small companies, hospitals, research institutions, which have got a specific research area, compared to a university. So those smaller organizations then establish special libraries within, so that they could then get access to information, specialist information. So that is how we have to start to define a special library. There must be a mother body, such as the ones that I have established. So also, that library must have there must be strategic alignment with the particular organization. To ensure that there is no misunderstanding by the powers that be of that organization, so that they know, they understand that this is actually the role of the library. The library itself must be aligned with all the goals of the organization. You shouldn't do things which are misaligned with your organization just because you are a librarian. So if the library is just general, it's not a special library. It must specialize. The library must specialize. It must specialize within a specialist subject area, meaning that it must focus on the subject area that is dealt with within the organization that it belongs to. So if there is misunderstanding of the role of the library within that organization, then there will be problems, such as the problems that are experienced by some special librarians, where there's lack of understanding, where there are budget cuts, and that really becomes problematic. As a special library, you belong to the organization, so there shouldn't be any misalignment. So misunderstanding of the purpose of a library, of that particular library, would lead to a risk of reduced sources such as financial, operational, and human resources. You find that as time goes on, some special libraries are now solo libraries because, or they have solo librarians because of budget cuts, misunderstanding of what the library, the role of the library is. So then the powers that be would then, the library would be the first point of call when there are budget cuts. So the library would be considered as, as an unnecessary area, and there would be budget cuts the way you would lose even human resources, operational resources. Some other people lose buildings and they are moved into smaller rooms so that they can manage themselves there. And that those are situations that come up with non-alignment of the library with the organizational goals. So I will then just pause there and get maybe any comments or questions with regards to the alignment of the library with the organization as part of the definition.
Any comments, colleagues, or questions regarding that? Dr. Momoti, while they're still thinking, maybe I can say something. I really, I want to say that you have just mentioned a very important information, because indeed we are not well structured in our libraries. And then they are saying that we are special libraries and we are specializing with a specific special information. But when they want for the budget to be given to us, they don't give us budget. We end up being in solo, as we have already mentioned, and then we can't offer our specialty because of the resources we are not getting. Indeed, we are not well structured. We are put in different subdirectorate where they don't know what is our role as librarians. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chair. Thank you. Is there anyone who has got a question? I think there's a question there. Can you see a question there? Oh, okay, it was just. Okay, if there are no questions, then we can then go ahead. So that is the first part of the definition. There must be an organization which is special. It's a specialist organization, such as the research institutions. We know we've got CSIR, we have the SMRC, we have those Agricultural Research Council. We've got different research institutes. And then there are also smaller ones which we are not aware of, who have research libraries within. During the times of LISLIG, I'll just go back there, Chair. You know, there were quite a lot of members who were part of the small research institutes, which were part of LISLIG. LISLIG was sort of like the special library as interest group that we are in now. So, so the library must indeed be aligned to the organization. So the library, as I have mentioned, is part of the larger organization. And it furthers the activities and objectives of the organization. When we talk about furthering the interests of something, it means that you are adding value. You are not misaligning yourself. You are adding value to the activities of the organization. We must remember that organization change with the times as well. In government, for instance, in governmental departments, there have been so many changes. You know, this government department is merged with this one this year and the next year, and then the other year they are now separated again, to be merged again 5 years down the line, or you know, this one is dissolved. You know, there are various changes within organizations. The special library must keep up with all of those changes in terms of the services, the collection that they offer, the collections, the services, etc. I will make an example that if your organization is the department, maybe it's the department, was the Department of Water Affairs. Water Affairs maybe now is known as a different department. Maybe let's say it has been merged with land reform. It's just an example. And you are busy continuing with that old collection that you had. You are actually not furthering the activities and objectives of your organization. Or am I right or am I wrong? It definitely, I am right, because you are now not providing the current clients with the information that they want. You are providing, you are still living in the past. So you need to further the activities and objectives of your current organization. So meaning that you align your aims as well. As we know that if you are part of a larger organization, you need to know the strategic goals of that organization, and also the objectives. And then you carry them to your own, to the library. What is the purpose of the library? What are you going to do to ensure that there is alignment, to ensure that the organization actually achieves on its goals, achieves its objectives? What are you going to do as the special library? So if you get that right, you may at least take a step towards being a library that is seen to further the activities and objectives of the organization. So you would then align the library purpose with the strategic direction of the organization. You wouldn't be moving against them, but you would be moving with them, so that then there is no misunderstanding. Now, the collection of a special library, since it's specialized, it's usually small. It's not a general library. You know, it shouldn't be a huge collection. But I think now there are changes in special libraries throughout the, South Africa, that the collections now are smaller and much more specialized. Those that I know of. I used to be a library consultant in the past, and that's how I got involved actually with special libraries. And when I started consulting, I was really shocked that most of the the special libraries were actually very, very big libraries. There were general collections where you would have, class numbers from 0000 to the end to 9999, but it was considered to be a special library. And it was a bit shocking to me, but with time, then I actually got business, I must say, through that, because then there were weeding exercises that we had to do to align the collection with the strategic goals of the organization. It's no use if you are in a library, for instance, that deals with minerals, to then have books which have got no relevance to maybe the Department of Minerals and Energy. That's just an example. Then you have a collection of art collection, 700s. Why do you need those books there? Why did you buy them in the first place? So I think there was then some exercises that were done by some libraries, by some special libraries, to sort of make their collections to have focus collections. The collections should then focus and be aligned with the whole organization. So the library itself, the special library, must be part of a larger organization, must also further the activities and objectives of the organization, must be aligned with the strategic direction of the organization, and have a specialized collection that is really focused. So you could, just by scanning, by looking at the collection, you would then know, just by looking at the collection, you would know about the organization as a whole. So if a person walks into your special library, by just looking at the collection, they would know that your organization actually deals with this and that and that and that. But if you are misaligned, you would have everything and anything in your collection. So a special library is special in that way. Now we'll then focus on the users, because as librarians provide access to information to people, to users. They are sometimes referred to as patrons in the public libraries and academic libraries. But in a special library, the users are referred to as clients, and because they are treated as clients. So those are the users of the special library. So the users of a special library, they are specialized. You will find that there are people who are professionals, highly qualified individuals in their fields. They are highly qualified in their fields. They have knowledge of their subject, their specialized subject areas, and you need to be able to serve them in that way. They are not just any user that walks into a library. They are specialized people. They know their professions. So, and they are members of they are actually the staff of the organization. And as I say, that they are specialists in their fields as well, in their fields of study. So that is the type of a user that a special library has. So the definition then of a special library would be that it is a library that forms part of a larger organization and furthers the activities and objectives of that organization, has a small collection, and serves the staff of that organization. That is what is meant by a special library. Any questions? Questions or comments?
Hi, it's Jill Scolders speaking from Vodacom. I'm with Equina in the room and we're just sharing one input to the conference. Just in terms of a comment is that we are special library in telecoms, and telecoms is now sort of moving from a telco company to a techco company, which is more technology related. So what you said was very, very relevant. But also I find that organizations do want their special libraries to have, let's say the special library's bigger collection will be dedicated to the focus of the organization like telecoms, but they also want you to support and serve the other general silos in the organization, like the marketing and the HR and the training department. That's our finding, and I'd just like to know if that's been your finding in your research as well.
Yes, that's quite true. You know, in your collection, of course, you would have the larger, and the specialized collections, meaning that the library material that would assist, that focus on a specialist area. But then, of course, there are support units within the organization of which you can then provide information sources to as well, or provide information services to. What you are doing is really correct. It's in line. You know, other special libraries tend not to have information sources to support, you know, the support units. What we need to do is to be able to look at to be aligned with the whole organization. We must further the activities and objectives of the whole organization. That is how we can then stay relevant and recognized as a professional service within an organization. So what you are doing is quite through. It's in line with what a special library has to do. Thank you so much for your comment. I think, Chair, if you can then just read for me what's on the chat, please.
Okay, this one comes from Erna. Erna is saying that I'm at Education Library of the Free State Department of Education. My main collection is in 370s, but I also have resources in the other classes because they link to education and my users' needs, e.g. management, psychology, disability, and so forth. Also for teachers needing extra information resources in different learning areas. This is what Erna has said, and then no, the rest they just agree about the budget cuts. Okay, that's what Elna is saying. I think it's a comment that needs maybe to to be answered and to maybe to advise. Yes, indeed, you need to have 370s, but there are extra library materials that need to be added. We can't just keep to the only 370s.
Of course. Yes. Yes, of course. And I think maybe you can mute that. All right. So, of course, you cannot kick out everything. My presentation is really not about that. It's about focusing on the specialist area of the organization. We need to be really wary of that. But if you are serving the needs of the whole organization, then you are in line with what is expected of a special library. So that is that what you are doing is in line because you've seen or you realize the needs of the other users within of your library. Therefore, you need to also focus on them. But what we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that a special library was established intentionally by the organization. It didn't just exist. It was established intentionally. And therefore, if the users need those types of material, which are not, of course, they cannot be limited to a certain class number, but the subject content must be within the bounds of your organization. You know, the example that I gave of general libraries was having library material in each and every class number, under each and every class number, just because you want to have a library. The library must be focused, because the other thing that we need to understand is that that small collection must be of resources that are specialized, that may not be accessible from other organizations as well. So if the staff members can be able to go to the nearest academic library or the nearest public library, then you will not be a special library. The conversation today is, let us go back to basics so that we can try and succeed in the work that we do. A special library has to focus on a specific subject field. Yes, you can support and provide information to the other support functions. As I have mentioned, that you need to further the activities of the all the activities of the organization. So as long as you are doing that, you will be considered as a special library. If you are not doing that, try and do that, because then you would, if you are not doing that, then you will just be a general library. Okay, any comments with regards to the users? We all are okay that the special library services a particular interest group. Can we type yes or no on the chat?
Yes.
Thank you so much. And okay, what then, how do you feel then about interlibrary loans? It's not a right or wrong answer, but as I said, we need to interact. We need to interact here so that when you go back to your work environment, you mustn't say, "Oh, Dr. Momoti said we shouldn't, participate in the interlibrary loans because our users must be part of our organization." What do you think about special libraries participating in interlibrary loans?
Dr. Momoti, I believe that as a special library, I'm working for the National School of Government, yeah? And then the National School of Government is dealing with training for government employees. So I believe that my library should specialize in the training collections, books, and mentoring and coaching books. But if I need to do interlibrary loan, I must do interlibrary loan with the government libraries who are also dealing with training, so that we can be able to help each other, because I might have this book and then they might not have it. So that is why interlibrary loan, I think it will be useful for us to have it.
Okay, no, thank you so much. What are other thoughts? Are there any other comments on the chat, Chair?
Can I ask something? It's Jill again.
Yes.
In terms of physical material, and are you referring to physical material or electronic material? because I find that electronic material will help support those other information services that are the lesser focus within your special library, because you don't have a big collection on those things, and there might be a particular project on a sports service type of topic that you need to collect information on. But it's become more and more difficult to share electronic information because of how commercialized and regulated it is. So that's just by way of comment.
Yes, it's true. It's quite true. It would be easier to share electronic information because you will not be disadvantaging your own users, because your users they take the precedence. You need to, they come first. You need to put them at the forefront. They are very, very important people. So remember that your organization has ensured that the information resources have been acquired for the use of the organization. And they need it. If that information is not there at the time when it's needed, then it becomes problematic. So that is a reality that is faced by special libraries in terms of a resource sharing. Yes, special libraries must share resources as it is expected of libraries within the country, for instance. But practically, as a person who has worked in such libraries, it becomes a problematic if you then have one copy of maybe a certain report that is then needed, which has been cataloged maybe on WorldCat. It has to be available for interlibrary loans. But if you then lend it out to another, via interlibrary loans, you run the risk of not being able to support your own library. So definitely, what then do we need to do in that situation?
Okay, Doctor, before we can answer that one, there's a comment from Baheya Hadi. Baheya, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Baheya Hadi says, yes, even when we deal with the public, it's a specialized research. Due to specialized collection, this is essential. The materials we require are usually not available in public libraries, and thus we need the interlibrary tool. And then Bongisa Melisani says, it is useful for resource sharing with similar libraries. And then Lindiwele Kwati says, interlibrary loans plays a vital role in our library because we get many requests that other libraries don't have. For example, articles within journals of nuclear medicine, 1985 issue, volume 3, page 12 to 39. That's what my colleagues are saying, Dr. Momoti.
Okay.
Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
Yes, use Nomze. I think, yes, I think with the issue of ILL within special libraries, I think it's very much important for special libraries to use those services, because they also assisted them on their side to see which book mostly it's being requested that they don't have. It also helps them to beef up their collection, because you could see that this book has been requested so many times this year, 2023, meaning therefore that we need to list it to the acquisitions people to order this book, because you could see that each and every year this book is being requested 3 or 4 times per year, because firstly, you need to have a look on that particular book. I think interlibrary loans has to be used to be a service that should be utilized within the public libraries. Even the e-resources sometimes, because when it comes to journals, then a journal, you cannot order a journal, but it's also helpful really, because you can be in a position to share your resources with other institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nomzi. Yes, it is really agreed that the special libraries must participate in resource sharing so that they can also get resources that they don't have and provide to others. But we need to understand that if you have one copy of that, you need to be able to make a copy of those a few pages as it is expected, meaning that you must have the policies and also control measures to ensure that the information sources are always available for your users. Now, the users which are considered to be clients, the term client, of course, as you know, it's not just, it is very important. In a special library, the clients are the staff of the organization. They may be the CEO, they may be, someone who is a clerk or a driver or whoever who is interested in the information. So the users, their requests are responded to, timeously in a special library. You need to be able to respond to their request timeously. That is why I'm saying that we need to be cognizant of the fact that you are serving the needs of your mother body, your organization, before they take precedence before the other organizations. Yes, participating in resource sharing is part of library and information science work, but we need to be cognizant of that fact, because if your users will then come and say, there is a book that I actually ordered to be included in the library collection, but whenever I want it, I cannot get hold of it because it has been requested by others. So we need to be able to have policies around the resource sharing in special collections so that we are able to provide a timely service to our users. So the users are really considered, they are treated with utmost importance in a special library. So if you were not doing that, you must start doing that so that you are seen to be a special library. So every user, you treat every user individually and also ensure that whatever has been acquired for them, they can then be able to access it, more especially the physical sources. Of course, the electronic resources are fine because you can then provide access if you can, if the laws or the policies agree. But the physical resources also, you must really be careful in what and how you are doing it. And that is actually based on experience, what we have experienced in special libraries. Thank you so much to everyone for participating. Are there any comments that I can note, Chair?
Yes, Dr. Momoti. To add on what we have just said, Bongisa Melisani said, organizations should make available their specialized collection in their repositories, so that it can be shared among amongst its colleagues.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Bongisa. Right. So now, as we have discussed, we do realize what makes a special library special. Its focus, its collection, and also, its alignment. Who are you aligned to? You are not aligned with a larger community, such as a public library or a larger community, such as an academic library, but you are focusing on that small specialist group in your organization. So the purpose of a special library, which was then crafted by Musica, I think some of you would know who Ruben Musica was. He was really a prominent library and information practitioner in the past. He is the one actually who wrote about special libraries. I think he researched a whole thesis about special libraries. So he stated then, and there is no one who has disputed that purpose. The up and coming young librarians and researchers can come up and maybe dispute or prove that fact to be true, that the most important aspect of a special library is its purpose and function. So what is the function? What is it that you are doing? So that is what in finality, that is what he stated, that after looking at all of these definitions and what is expected of a special library, he felt that the most important thing is what is the purpose and function of the library. The purpose, of course, must be aligned with the organization, the larger organization, and then the functions, of course, will then come from the purpose, because you would know the strategic direction of your organization. So what makes a special library special? It is special if it's established to obtain and provide access to information to the organization which provides its financial support. As I have said earlier, organizations make a conscious decision to establish a library, and therefore the library is expected to make a worthwhile contribution. So some of the organizations are small or business related cooperatives, as it has been mentioned, Vodacom and the others. There are so many. You would have a lot of special libraries, and the organizations have to make profit. The library was actually established to ensure that information is available so that the organization can be able to make profit. So if the library does not serve that purpose, it will be rendered to be useless. So the speciality of a special library is that it provides information or services to the organization that provides financial support. As you have seen, there will be budget cuts, of course, to the library if the organization sees that you actually there is no value add of the organization. You are just a sort of a liability. You are not an asset, you are a liability. That is why it is important that no matter whether we feel that, this is what I'm supposed to do as a librarian, but first and foremost, look at what or the direction which your organization is focusing at. And then you can be able to then align whatever your functions and services to the overall direction of the organization. So our presentation today is back to basics. How can we ensure that we sustain the service? How can we ensure that we stay relevant and important in our organizations? If we do not work with the organization, unfortunately, we will then be rendered to be useless. Organizations need information for competitive advantage, as well as for profitability and productivity. So if as a special library, you do not add value to, or you do not contribute to those goals, you will be rendered sort of useless. So alignment to the overall organization is key. So that it is quite important for us to note that what makes a special library special is that it focuses on the organization which provides its financial support. So when we look at this statement that I've just mentioned and what we have discussed about interlibrary loans, I'm going to ask you yet again, what would you then participate or send out the only copy that you have in your library? Can you then loan it out on interlibrary loans? Yes or no? Based on what makes the library special, can you then take the organizational information and loan it out to other people, even if it's the only copy, physical copy? Yes or no? And if a person can talk, then they can open their microphone and talk.
Dr. Momoti, before they answer that question, you had a question also on the chat box from Oscar. Oscar says, what are some of the most critical things that one must consider when procuring ebooks or digitizing books so that our users can have access to them anytime?
Okay, we will get to that part, Oscar, about the information. We will get to that part. But here we just wanted to first, define a special library and also to determine what makes the library special. This is a special library, is not a general library. So then I wanted then people to, based on what I have, uploaded on this presentation, would you then still, participate in resource sharing, more especially if you only have one copy of that book?
Doctor, most of our colleagues are saying no.
Yes, so we need that's a good direction. I'm not saying of our colleagues must not in special libraries must not participate, but you really have to apply your mind on why were we established. If this is the only copy, why would then so then you can then add it into your policy, in your policy or procedure manual or SOP, so that there is then that understanding that this is actually a control measure that you put in place to ensure that you still are relevant, you still are serving the whole organization. So this is just a picture that shows that if you are in an organization, you mustn't swim against the tide. You must actually be part of the whole organization. If the organization is facing a certain direction, please go with that organization. I do know that there are certain beliefs that if you always follow the crowd, you will never be able to succeed. But in an organization that is focused on productivity, that's focused on innovation, that's focused on profits, you need to be able to move with that as a team so that you can be able to achieve the purpose or the goals of the organization. So a special library must then be part and parcel of the organization. Don't stand alone and say, no, but according to this is what I'm supposed to do. Remember, there was a reason why the library was established in the first place. So we need to then work with everyone within the organization instead of working against. Otherwise, you'll find yourself all alone there with no support, being a solo librarian with little resources, only your salary and maybe a few bucks to buy information sources. So when we work together, we can be able to achieve, and also there would be that recognition and respect that is awarded to special libraries. Are there any questions or comments apart from what I had asked?
Hi, Dr. Jill again from Vodacom. It's just something that I struggle with, and I don't know whether this is the forum to ask you. But in supporting the organization, we must add value. What I find a challenge is measuring that value or quantifying that value, and then being able to communicate that back to the organization. And it's just something that if there was any assistance in how one can do that or overcome that, will be appreciated.
Yes. Thanks so much, Jill. Maybe what we will be then talking about, and also as I said, I will be sharing sort of a paper. Maybe you can then take some of the constructs from that paper to assist you in sort of determining the value of the service, hopefully. And I think maybe really it calls for more research into special libraries, because really there isn't much that is researched on in special libraries or about special libraries in South Africa, and I think internationally as well. But I think maybe you will get assistance from the presentation, from the paper.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Is there anybody else, Chair, who wants to make a comment, whether on the chat or who has raised their hand?
No, I don't see anything from my
Okay.
side.
All right. No, thank you so much. So I think Oscar's question will be answered in this slide on acquisition of information. So special libraries, as I have mentioned, that they are established with really the intention of ensuring that information is acquired and provided, and access is provided as it is needed for competitive intelligence or to improve productivity of the organization. So they are intentionally established. Please always remember that. Why was the library established? It was established to assist the organization to acquire information. Before we can then go ahead with this slide, I can then just share that as an information consultant, when I worked as an information consultant in the past, there were various organizations, more especially government departments, a few actually, government departments which did not have a special library. And I would ask, why don't you establish a special library? And the answer that I would get would be, we don't see any need for a special library because we can source the information that we need on our own. So that organization definitely doesn't see the need for a special library. So it would really be futile to even maybe try and get a job there and try and establish a library. So then you would have problems such as you would want to get buy-in for this, for that, for that. But there are organizations who have intentionally established special libraries. Those libraries need information to survive in this ever-changing world. So then they have expectations. The organizations definitely have expectations of the special library. The special library must be able to perform what they expect the special library to perform. The special library must be able to achieve what is needed or provide what is needed by the organization. That is why I am saying that it's very, very important for us to always be aware that a special library must definitely focus on the organization that is actually funding it, so that then it can stay relevant. So information acquisition, you must definitely be able to know, as a special library, what type of information can I then acquire to then add value to the library or to add value to the overall organization. You need to be able to understand that you must acquire information that's going to add value to the organization. It's of no use, for instance, just because there's this advent of technology, then you come up with, a highly technical databases that you want to acquire, even though you don't have, a good network information technology network system, the network is not so good. You want to come up with all of those things. You will not be able to achieve those goals, because so you need to then understand, this is where my organization is at this point, and they actually want information for this and that purpose, and I must then get that information for them timelessly, and the information must be accurate, and it must then be relevant. It must be the type of information that they need. It's, as I say, do not then go overboard and try and acquire things which will not be, of any value to your organization. It will be a complete waste of time. So it's important that the information that you provide for them adds value to the organization. I'm going to repeat again that you must understand what information is needed and what it is needed for in your organization. And what is that process called? What is that process known as? The process of determining what information is needed and what that information is needed for. On the chat, please, can we then just type what that process is? Or anyone who would just like to tell us, what is that process known in library and information practice? Okay, Chair, are there any comments in the chat?
Yes, there are comments, and then the other one needs clarity. Are you referring to sourcing the relevant, it's buyer saying, are you referring to sourcing the relevant materials or actual acquisition thereof?
No, I'm not referring to any of those two.
Okay. And then Bongisa says it needs analysis. And then again, Bongisa mentioned the acquisition. And then their pop collection development or branch profiling documents. NOMSI analyze user needs, acquire material based on those needs. And then Tebingosi said acquisition.
Yes, so Bongisa and Nomzi got it right. It's information needs analysis. So you definitely have, before you can acquire information for the organization, you need to conduct an information needs audit and be able then to analyze that the results of that audit to determine the type of information and what it is needed for. So if you have not conducted that, I think those of you who have been working in a particular organization for a very long time, probably that's what you have done or you've never done it. But I'm advising you, that is something that you can do to then determine what information should you actually acquire, what type of information is needed by the organization, and why do they need it, so that you understand that they need this information for, to improve, for productivity, for innovation. That information is needed so that they can be able to compete with the other organizations who are in the same subject area or in the same industry. So information audits, information needs analysis is actually that process, and the report thereof that you will then get from that process would then be used as a guiding tool for you, for the future, for you to acquire more and more information. The topic, I keep on going back to the topic. The topic of today's presentation is back to basics. If it doesn't work now, if something doesn't work now, what can then work? What has proved to work? If you interact with your organization, you are part of the organization, you involve them in determining their information needs, then definitely they will support you. They will know you. They will know that, wow, actually the library exists to conduct this and that and that. And therefore we will always support them because they are part of us. But if you work in a silo, maybe trying to look at checking catalogs on what can be acquired, or you've seen this and that, or this publisher has advertised this book or that book or this database or that database, you will be in the wrong direction. First, find out what is needed in my organization, and then you can then acquire those information sources. In some instances, the organization actually does not want physical sources. They want electronic sources. They are the ones who will determine that based on the situation at hand as well. If you just go and just because you've heard that, we have such and such databases that are available from a certain distributor or a publisher, we must subscribe to this one and that one, without actually knowing first whether your users are going to use those sources, you will actually be shooting yourself in the foot. Involve your users in the library activities. That is what makes a special library special. Then we move on to competitive intelligence.
Sorry, Doctor.
Oh, is there anyone?
Yes, it's myself, Maritipi. So
Yes.
before you move on, will I be wrong if I say I'll conduct a survey also?
A survey will not help, in the sense that a survey usually is sort of quantitative. It just needs to know how many books do you need. But if you do an information audit, you are okay. You can send out a questionnaire, a survey in a way, but you must make it open-ended. You must make it open so that people can add a lot of information. For instance, what type of books or information sources do you need? And then you can open up. But in most instances, if you just send out a questionnaire, it doesn't really bear fruit. So
Okay,
yes.
understood. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so anyway, a survey is related to an information needs analysis, but it's the way also that you ask the questions that will determine the outcome of what you are looking at. Are we still okay with time? I think we still. All right, so we are now, we'll discuss competitive intelligence. So competitive intelligence really is you will be acquiring information for the organization to have competitive advantage over the competitors. Jill, for instance, works for Vodacom, and they would then probably need sometimes statistical information from the competitors, and you therefore need to be able to provide that information. That's how it sometimes works. You are the information practitioner, and therefore you need to be able to provide information that would then assist your organization to be competitive. So that is participating in competitive intelligence of the organization. Of course, there are other situations such as environmental scanning, which you could also be involved in, that is scanning the environment of competitors. Of course, your organization knows of competitors, but they don't have time because they are specialists in their fields as well. You are the specialist. The special library is a specialist, is an information specialist. So that information must be gathered by an information professional that will then assist the organization to stay competitive, so that it doesn't lose business, so that it doesn't lose grounding, to a foot to stand on. So that is the type of information that you can also be able to provide. So in your information audit, you can also pose a question like that maybe what type of information would you need for competitive, to be competitive, or to have competitive advantage over the competitors. And then they would be able to provide the types of information, maybe to be data about this and that, or statistics about this and that. But you need to find out from them instead of just continuing and then complaining that nobody uses the information service. I'm just there. So be able to then ensure that you acquire the right information and ensure that you involve your users in the selection of the information through an information audit or information needs analysis, as well as ensuring that you get information that will then put the organization on a competitive advantage. Then the next one is a special library must provide access to information. Another person would say that, well, it's obvious. Libraries are there, to provide access to information. But it's not obvious. You need to provide access to the right information. And that information that you are providing must not cost the organization an arm and a leg, meaning that you must be budget conscious. You must be able to support your organization. If your organization is not doing well financially, you must be able to assist them to, getting information that is, accessible, and also that is a cost that would save them money. So And also at the end of the day, when you are providing your reports, maybe monthly or quarterly or annually, you would be able then to indicate how much you have saved the organization through information sources that you have provided for them, instead of, going, out of, going all out, trying to get very expensive information sources instead of trying to save your organization some few bucks. So they would then expect information that is reasonably priced. And also the information must be timely. It must not be information that is outdated. Remember that your organizations want to be productive. They want to be productive. They want to stay ahead of their competitors. They want to be innovative. They want to be, as I say, they want to be this. They want to stay ahead of their competitors. They want to be profitable as well. So the information that you get for them must be information that is timely, that is actually current. It mustn't be outdated information. It must be information that will then add value to the organization. In most instances, it must be information which you get. It must be information that is actually cannot be, that is just peculiar to that particular organization only, that it is not accessible elsewhere. In some instances, they will then just find out who else has this information. But you, as the special library, this is what you are supposed to do. You don't just sit there and check catalogs of the current information that's available, and without actually getting to know what the organization needs first. And then you can then provide access to information cost effectively, as well as that information must be accurate, must be timely, and ensure that it's reliable as well. So Oscar, I think we are slowly getting to to answer your question, but in any case, that information must also be relevant and also be packaged. As a special library, of course, you need to package that information in a certain way. You cannot just, okay, then you get information. Maybe you are looking for electronic articles for e-resources, for e-journals or articles that are available from electronic resources. And then you just, you cut them and paste them, and then you send them to the users. No, you need to package that information in such a way that it is, readable or understandable by the user. In fact, that would also form part of your search strategy, because you need to involve your user in your search strategy as well. So all of the library and information related practices are applicable in special libraries, but you need to apply them with caution, meaning that you focus on the organization at hand. What are the goals? And then you are able then to apply all that you know about library and information practices and processes in that way. So the information that you are providing must then be reliable, timely, accurate, and also, as I'm saying, it must be error-free. That is, it must be accurate as well. Your organization may lose a sense of trust in you as a special library if you do not provide the accurate information, because remember that the staff in the organization, these specialists in the organization, actually do not have time to look for information. They rely on you. You are the specialist. So you need to do that in a specialized way as well. If you don't have the skill of searching for information, you can always upgrade your skill. But we must know that the reason for the establishment of a special library is for you to provide access to information to the overall organization. So if you cannot do that, try your level best to upgrade yourself, to upskill yourself, so that you can be able to search properly for the information that is needed. That is, if it's in electronic form, or then if it's not in electronic format, you must be able then to check properly, the resources that could save the organization some money. Right, so in providing access to information, also professionalism is important. I think Bongisa, who is in this group, if she's still here, we started more or less at the same time at a certain library. I think that was actually what we were trained to do, that is client service. Client service is very important, even in a special library, and more so in a special library. Remember that you would be dealing with specialists who are renowned in their field of practice. Sorry, I'll just take a sip of water. So you are dealing with specialists who are renowned in their various fields, in their respective fields. The way you treat people, the way you handle them is quite important. The way you speak to them, the way you respond to their inquiries, to their requests is quite important. So you need to always be professional in your conduct as a special librarian. Of course, even if you are not a special librarian, we as librarians, we are supposed to to conduct ourselves professionally, so that we can earn the trust of our organization. There are various ways of improving, the way you deal with clients, and you can still upskill yourself on how to deal with your clients accordingly. So it's important to portray a very professional image when you are providing access to information in your organization, how you package it and how you then deal with it. You must also be ethical, as we know that when you're providing a reference service or any information, you need to be ethical. What type of information can you then provide? Also, there are some instances where you are requested to get information about competitors, of course, but you need to know where to draw the line in terms of information ethics as well. So as you will then be, applying your search strategy, you need, or the reference interview, or what the information interview, reference information interview, you need to be able to know what is this information needed for, so that you can apply information ethics as well, which you are trained for as well. So that is then providing access to information. Are there any questions or comments before we move on?
There are lots of comments from colleagues, Doctor.
Oh.
Baye says she agrees with you. The database is not one of the most important factors. It is merely the tool you use. And she also said competitive intelligence seems to be limited to some special libraries only, as in the case, for example, it's about providing primary source material, and other institutions is providing proof of factual information, not necessarily in competitive manner. And then Dorothy Matebula says, I agree. We are the custodians of information in the departments. And then Bungiswa again says, I'm working. Oh,
Library Information Rights
hello.
Association of South Africa.
Who's this one? Oh, okay, Bungiswa is saying, I'm working in the client services.
You must just
Can you mute that one level? Okay, that's it, Dr. Momoti. And we are now 11:46. Maybe if we can try to.
Okay, I'll try and push on.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, so that is that with regards to providing access to information, which is very, very vital and key in a special library.
Sorry, Chair. I raised my hand. Hello, Chair.
Yes, Dorothy, continue. We can't see your hands. Continue, sorry. Dorothy.
Hello.
Yes, continue. The platform is yours, Dorothy.
We can hear you, Dorothy.
Hello, Chair.
We can hear you. Continue.
Oh, okay. Yes, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Momoti.
Good morning, Dorothy.
Yes, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And how are you?
No, I'm fine. Yeah, thank you so much because you're reviving us back to basics. It's just a comment on or additional on what you're saying because the government structures are different, even if we are special libraries. I'm based in social development. We are dealing with social services. And in terms of providing access to information, we're also dealing with the PAIA and POPIA that now is controlled by the regulator. And I think in terms of providing access to information, we're providing to everyone in the country, those who are requesting information relating to social science or social information. And it's very interesting in terms of providing access to all citizens of South Africa. So I was just adding that there are certain libraries that, or certain information, entities that dealing with the provider of access to information in terms of PAIA and POPIA. So we are one of them in social development. It's not all government department. So my wish is that if this can be added to all the libraries so that people can learn more in terms of providing access to information. Thank you.
Okay, no, thanks so much, Dorothy. It's good to hear that you are still at social development. That's nice to hear. Okay, so what we really need to know is that in terms of information, access to information, you must ensure that there are short turnaround times because the information is needed by the clients to meet the deadlines. You must respond to inquiries to prevent litigation, because more especially in government departments, I think there's quite a lot of that where, you know, there's quite a lot of legal cases against department in some cases. So you need to be able to respond and provide information immediately as it is needed to prevent litigation. You cannot waste time. So the information must then be relevant and accurate, as I had mentioned, and try always to be consistent in your service. Your service must be consistent. You know, you must be known that this is what you do. And that is actually part and parcel of the marketing part, you know, marketing of the special library, which is, you know, would be a topic for another day, where you are known by your brand, that this is the service that you actually provide through your brand as well. So we will then move on to data and information management. So as we know that data is actually unstructured, but information is structured and, packaged information. But there are instances where you need to manage the data of the organization, where you are given the data, for instance, the performance data of the organization, and you need to collate it into a report as information. So that is what is expected of you in some instances. I've seen various, job adverts of special librarians, for special librarians, and that seems to be the norm, that this is what you would be expected to do. So you need to be able to know how to manipulate data, manipulating it meaning that you are not interfering with the data, but you are able to know how to actually collate it and then synthesize it into an information resource such as a report. So special libraries actually have to do that, because you are then adding value to the organization. Once you are seen to be doing that part, also including other points that I've mentioned, you would then be adding value to the organization, ensure that the data that you have collected is collated properly, and then a report is provided. As I have mentioned, in some instances, it would be the performance of the whole organization of a certain section. And sometimes that information is needed to promote the organization. I will make an example that the research institutions or the researchers, they need the output, the research output, to be promoted, or to be promoted maybe to professorship, or to be promoted to another level of their positions. So that information you need, as a special librarian, you need to be able to search and source that information, and then and that information must be reliable and accurate, which will then assist that employee or client to be able to be promoted and improve their productivity, and also the standing, the image of the organization. So that is what is meant really by data and information management. So then knowledge management. Most of the positions or special librarians are expected to know knowledge management. Yes, probably you may have a specialist, a knowledge management specialist within the whole directorate, department, or unit, but there is an expectation that special librarians must be able to manage knowledge of the organization. So clients need knowledge for productivity and also for innovation, or using or reuse it, that is for innovation, or also to develop more and more knowledge as well. And as well as for knowledge translation, where there will be products which will be developed through the knowledge that is gained in the organization. So it is the responsibility of the special librarian to do that, to have a knowledge management capability or skill to be able to provide that knowledge, or manage that knowledge of the organization. Because if knowledge contributes to innovation, or development of new products or new knowledge, then it means that it is quite valuable. And if there are products that are developed, new products, then they put the organization at a competitive advantage, and therefore knowledge management would then be able to contribute to a positive financial standing of the organization, and also the competitiveness of the organization. And knowledge management would also contribute to employee motivation as well as productivity, because if the employees can see that the knowledge that they've contributed to the organization is actually reused and used for productivity, for innovation, and also to develop new products, that is innovation, then they would then be more productive, and as well as they would be motivated. So that is actually also our job. as special libraries. So that is what is expected also of special libraries. And then in terms of records management, an organization that does not manage its records is bound to struggle a lot. It cannot be competitive because if those records are not available when they are needed, then that organization cannot be competitive. Hence, as a special librarian, you need to be able to, you must have knowledge of records management as well. Records they bear evidence of activities of an organization. So records would be the correspondence, the letters, the reports, every, or the contracts, all the records that are produced within, by the organization. Those records serve as evidence of what has been taking place in an organization. So that responsibility, because it concerns information, would then be the responsibility of a special library. So that is what the organizations expect of a special library. You must be able to manage the information that is within the records of the organization. You must manage the records from the day they are created up until they are archived. Records management would then include archiving, because then you would then be able to then archive them, or then if you are a national department, you can then send them to the National Archives if that is the situation, or if it's a private institution, they are always on-site archives, or there are archives within that organization. So as custodians of information, special libraries are indeed expected to manage organizational records. So you need to have knowledge of records management and also of archiving, which are also specialist fields of library and information science. So if you are able to offer those services, you would then be able to stay relevant, and you will be considered to be important in the organization. Of course, it doesn't guarantee, all of these do not guarantee, that you would get a raise or you would get a higher budget, but at least, you would get that recognition that you are providing a valuable service within the organization. You are in line with what is expected of what is expected of your service. Okay, then what is expected of special libraries, which is a continuation. I will just zoom through this one so that you can know I'm losing time. You must be able to save costs for the organization. You must be able to save time. You must act in an advisory role in terms of information management, information access. As I said, that we have knowledge of ethics in information management or access. Therefore, we need to be able to advise our organizations instead of just doing everything that you are asked to do without providing the right advice. You also need to be proactive and try to find information, and then you can then market it or send it to, advertise it to the whole organization so that they can be able to select what they would need, or being proactive in terms of participation in information management forums, and also the type of information sources that can be used to be able to achieve the organizational goals. Of course, if you are an advisor, you need to be knowledgeable. Therefore, you need to upskill yourself. You need to attend training sessions such as this one and upskill yourself. And of course, always be professional and friendly when you are providing the service. So the question then would be, are special libraries biased? Yes or no? Are special libraries biased based on the presentation? Can special libraries be considered to be biased based on what we have discussed? You can then type on the chat or maybe say or raise your hand to make a comment. Oh, I think it's 12 o'clock now, Chair. I think we...
Doctor, you still have the, I asked the Liasa office, they said there's no presentation after this one. We can maybe go until 1:15. So if it's okay with
all
you,
right.
yeah.
Okay, all right then. Okay, so can we please then all participate on the chat based on the discussion that we've had today? Can we then consider special libraries to be biased?
Priority is the core function of the
Yes.
So, Chair.
Hello,
Hello.
Dora. Hello, Dora.
Can I try to respond on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, special libraries, we are biased because we're looking at the core information of the department.
Okay.
We are, yes, because the core of the department, that's why we say we are the custodian of the department. Because every information in the department, it's us information specialists to see whether the information inside is needed, and then we provide them with the information, and we also go outside and search information for the department. So we are the core of the information in the department. So I can say, yes, we are biased.
Okay, Dr. Mawati, it's not only Dorothy who's saying yes. We have Bayaya who said yes, we are not general. And then he said we are biased towards our institution. Is Bayaya who say we are not, yes, we are not generally, but we are biased towards our institutions. And then NOMSI says they are not, hence they are providing information based on specific. They are providing information based on specific subject discipline. Thank you.
Oh, all right. No, thank you so much. So biasness would then refer to maybe you are prejudicing, you know, or you are against others in terms of information provision. What we need to then hear, well, the reason why I'm asking the question is so that we can understand, go back to basics. What is our role as special libraries? Based on the discussion that we've had, can we consider ourselves to be biased against other people, other clients, because the special library has been established to serve, its purpose is to serve the overall organization. But of course, there can be arguments there, but based on what we have discussed, do we prejudice against other users, you know, externally, based on what we have discussed? I think there are some comments on the chat, Chair.
Yes, they are. They are, Bayer said, not in providing information, but we are selective in who we share what with, not at all. And I'm sorry, and Boy says not at all. Baby said not at all. No, not at all.
Okay, right. Absolutely not. You know, based on the discussion, as I have just mentioned, that special libraries were established for a particular purpose, mainly to serve the organization. So we are not prejudicing anyone. Special librarians do not prejudice against anyone, but are serving they consider the mother organization first and foremost. Those are the most important clients, more than anybody else. Yes, special libraries in government departments, for instance, may provide information about the organization which is needed by other people. But to be able to then take maybe information resources, maybe physical resources to give to others, then you need to really apply caution, as I have mentioned. So really, special libraries have to take the organizations they work for, you know, first and foremost. They must be their responsibility. They must be the ones who are important more than any other user. And as I say, of course, the external users are important as well, but the organization that you work for is quite important. So the special libraries were, of course, established by the organization with intention, and therefore that intention must then be fulfilled. And the collection and services must reflect the mother body. So whatever it is that you're doing, you are not being biased to other people. If your collection reflects the mother body, it's because that is how it is. The collection, the library was established by the mother body, and therefore your services and the collection is, in fact, the collection is also aligned to the mother body. So what we need to do for the success of the special library, the special library, for its success, we need to go back to basics. A special library is not a general library. It is specialized as per what we have discussed today. So let us then go back to basics, to what a special library is, and then we are able then to serve the mother bodies. First and foremost, the mother bodies takes priority. So let's go back to basics and be the special libraries that we are, and serve our mother bodies accordingly in terms of the service and in terms of the collections as well. So that is that from me. Thank you very much. And as I said, the full text of this paper will be made available. The chairperson will announce, I think we'll send it to you as soon as it is available for you. Thank you very much for participating. I will then take comments or questions, and that otherwise, chairperson, that's it from me. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, Doctor, I want to take you back because this Oscar had a question, and I didn't want to read it here. I wanted to be answered after this session. Oscar said, when dealing with employees registered at different institutions, how can one keep up with their information needs, because the prescribed books change every now and then? I think it was when you talk about the collection.
Oh, okay. So Oscar works with, does Oscar work in the same organization as yourself?
No.
Okay.
Oscar, are you still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Where do you come from?
Yeah. Okay, no, I'm actually working for a district municipality, but our municipality, it's only focused on staff. We only provide materials to our staff and our councillors. Yeah, so hence my question was, okay, most of our staff members, they are registered at different institutions. So my question is that how can I keep up? Because maybe if I find that I procure this book, maybe the next semester it has changed. So how can I keep up?
Okay, so Oscar, the courses that they are registered for, are they for the organization? For instance, these finance management courses, are they paid for by the organization?
Yes, we have a skill development facilitator who's responsible for paying all our employees. So the courses, they are for their own self-development, and some for, let's say maybe you want to get a higher post here at work. Yeah, so those are the kind of courses.
Yeah, it would be impossible, Oscar, to always, to buy a copy for each and every person. That is why you then, you are a library, so you would then have to loan it out for a certain period. And of course, maybe participate in information resource sharing from other organizations. But if it is really not financially viable, I would suggest that you look at other ways and means, as we have said, that you need to be able to save costs for the organization. So you cannot, I don't think you can afford to buy so many copies, and they keep on changing and changing. So you need to try and come up with a way to ensure that you save costs for the organization, maybe through interlibrary lending from other institutions, more especially the academic institutions.
Okay, thank you. I'm covered considering that question. Also, let me take you back to the previous question that I've asked. I don't think I was covered very well. In terms of, let's say I want to procure ebooks, or maybe I want to start digitize some books so that they can be available for the staff anytime when they need them. What are some of those critical things that I must take into account, so that maybe I make sure that I don't violate maybe some copyright laws and all those things? Thank you.
Okay, no, thanks, Oscar. The ebooks are available through licensing. So if you purchase licenses in the organization that you work for, you purchase licenses, enough licenses for the users to use them, then you will be in line with with the license. But if you then photocopy and then you digitize, and then it will be, I don't think it will be proper for the authors as well of those books. So yes, for certain copies, for certain chapters, as you know, that there are copyright laws as well which govern the work that we do. You need to to be within those laws to comply with them. But what the most important thing is that whatever it is that you do, you need to protect your institution. You can use the ebooks, but you must purchase enough licenses for the organization, and also be in line with every type of legislation. And also you can have policies as well on who can access and who cannot access. In terms of the password policies and all of that. So you can provide the ebooks, but within in line with all of those the policies and regulations in terms of copyright as well. I hope that I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, colleagues. Now I'm gonna take you to our LISLIG convener, Ms. Erna Mostert, who will be able to thank the doctor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Momoti, I want, and I think on behalf of all of us, we want to thank you for a very interesting presentation. That's get us really thinking about our special libraries and our function to serve our communities and our users. We realize now after this, we must make sure that we know what our purpose and our function is in our organizations. And we must also remember to work with our organizations, like you said, so that we can stay valuable to them. I also personally, it also personally reminded me again about client services and how to conduct ourselves always professionally. So I think on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for this presentation and wish you good luck with all your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edna. Thank you so much. And goodbye to everyone. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Doctor.
you.
It was very
Bye.
interesting.